G'day YouTube, Spanish Gem 669 aka Adam, here to do another review. Now the film I'm reviewing today is an Australian classic. Now this is an absolute work of genius. I absolutely love this film. It's an Australian film made in the year 2000. It's directed by Andrew Dominik, and the film that I'm talking about is Chopper. Now, Chopper tells the intense story of Mark Chopper Read, who was a real-life legendary criminal who wrote his autobiography while serving a jail sentence in prison. His book, titled From the Inside, upon which this film is based, was a bestseller. So yeah, it's based on a real person. Eric Bana plays Chopper Read, and he was absolutely phenomenal in it. He had to gain a little bit of weight for this role because the real Chopper was a little bit heavier than he was. But anyway, it's one of his best performances to date, in my opinion. He captured the very essence of the living legend Chopper has become. Now, only in Australia would a guy like this become a celebrity. Um, yeah, it's not a surprise that this film gave him recognition out of Australia and turned him into an international star, because you see this film and he is absolutely brilliant in it. The actual supporting cast were very good in it as well, so there's a lot of good acting in this film. Now, it says it's an autobiography, but it's not exactly that. It's not all true. It's more of a collection of his tales surrounding the now kind of mythical figure of Chopper. So there is a lot of truth to it, but there is some things that have been made up. So it's not a word for word sort of. It's not a scene for scene autobiography, but there's a lot of truth to it. A few scenes that were just made up. There's a lot of characters in this film that, well, basically I'm going to tell you what he was like first. This is a guy, Mark Chopper Read. Now, people say he got his nickname, there's a few theories out there, he got his nickname from a character in a book he read. Other people believe he got his nickname because he used to cut toes off drug dealers with bolt cutters. And other people think, well, the more commonly believed theory is that he got his nickname because he chopped his own ears off with a razor blade. So he's a psychopath, and his nickname Chopper. He terrorized drug dealers. He only in his later life he's made an honest living. He's written books now, and he's even written children's books too, which is surprising. But anyway, he's making an honest living now, but he's making an honest living off his criminal past. So in his criminal days, he didn't work an honest day in his life. He robbed money from drug dealers. Just, he'd often say, why would I want to slave away at a 9 to 5 job when I can just go to a drug dealer's house and steal $10,000? It's that easy, apparently. But as a result of this, consequences, that he became the most hated man. He had 23 contracts out in his life. This guy's a complete psychopath. He mixes, there's a lot of humour to him. He's got a good sense of humour, but he's he's very, very psychologically disturbed. Very disturbed man. He's been certified as insane. He, as I said, cut his own ears off, so you have to be pretty insane to do that. And he basically, he'd stab someone. They'd be dying in a pool of their own blood, and he'd come up to them and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you alright? Are you alright?" So he'd kind of be really remorseful after he's done the violent act. He'd always be remorseful, but then he'd go and do it again. So he's a very, very interesting man. Certainly not the man you want to hang around a lot, but anyway, very interesting. To this day, he's still got contracts out on him, so still a lot of people hate him. He spent most of his life in jail, 23 years, not altogether, but he's been in and out of prison. He's spent more time in prison than he has out. And so he's basically become a celebrity in Australia now. Only in Australia would a criminal become a celebrity, but that's the way things go sometimes. It is absolutely intense, and it's very tough. It's kind of a dreamlike sort of atmosphere, if that makes sense. It is a very dirty, filthy feel to it. It's set in the underworld, so there's a lot of drug addicts, drug dealers, a lot of scum of the earth, so it's a very scummy type of atmosphere. But it's kind of dreamlike as well in some instances. Like some scenes, it feels like you're in a dream. That's the way it's shot. It's a perfect atmosphere for it. Now, I've never been involved with the underworld, but if I think of the underworld, then I think of the atmosphere that is in this film, because it is done absolutely perfectly. It's not a happy world to be in. As I said, there's a lot of drug addicts, so these people don't have bright futures, so the film isn't very bright. But it's one of those films you got to have a sick sense of humour to find this funny. It's not a straight out comedy, far from being a comedy. It's very, 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 very dark humour though. I mean, the actual character Chopper, very colourful personality, but at the same time psychopath. So he'd do something really bad and then make light of it, and you can't help but laugh at some of the things that you really shouldn't be laughing at. But anyway, I found it very funny. And if that makes me a sick human being, then I'm a sick human being. But yeah, it's a very good film. Probably on its own, on the content, it probably doesn't deserve its 18 plus um, classification, but it got this because they didn't want many people seeing it, because a lot of people out there understandably don't want Chopper to get the fame he has, because he's lived a life of crime and he shouldn't be rewarded, which is very true. I don't agree with the fact that he's making a living from his criminal past, but that's the way it is, so deal with it. But yeah, it's got an R rating. It's not. There are very brutal scenes in it, but it's not frequent, and it's not over the top. I mean, if you're a fan of extreme horror, once again, you're not going to find this overly disturbing, but it is disturbing at how he makes light of horrific horrific situations. So he'd kill someone and joke about it, but yeah, as I said, you just can't help but laugh sometimes. You don't know why you're laughing, and you kind of think, oh, am I a lunatic for laughing at that? But it's the kind of film it is. It's a brilliantly directed film. Andrew Dominik got fame from this. He directed a more recent film called The Assassination of Jesse James by the Cowardly Robert Ford. I think I've got that title right. It's a long title, but yeah, it's good to see he's got fame from it, as well as Eric Bana. Eric Bana, a brilliant actor, and after seeing him in this film, I have so much more respect for him. Absolutely phenomenal. There's actually a lot of there are some graphic scenes of violence. So yes, while it is an autobiography based on his autobiography, the real Chopper does mix a lot of lies with truth. So it's very hard to separate the bullshit from the truth. There's good special features on it. So there's an audio commentary, and there's a weekend with Chopper where Eric Bana meets him. He talks about the film. In the audio commentary, he actually says that it's spot on. This is how he lived his life. But then he did a tour where he would talk about his life. He'd go to clubs and all that and talk about his life. And he openly criticised this film for being bullshit. So while on the audio commentary he says this is very true, he later then said it's a lot of bullshit in it. So I don't know what to believe. He's kind of that person. You don't know his bullshit from his truth. So nonetheless, it is an exceptional film. I don't know if this has got worldwide recognition, but it certainly deserves it. This is what Australian film can do. They can make some absolute gems. This is certainly one of them. An absolute classic. This will go down as an Australian classic without a doubt. It is an absolutely phenomenal film. Highly recommended. Get out there and see it. Chopper. Alright guys, hope that review was useful. I'll be doing another part of my horror collection a bit later, so actually I'm a little bit pissed off because my part 2 of that horror collection was faulty again, so I had to delete it. So I'll keep making them, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Alright guys, I'm going to go. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.